Hello everyone, welcome back to IT Era. In today's session, we are going to discuss top 10 SQL interview questions and answers for the freshers. So, here I have listed very commonly asked questions. I can assure that among these 10 questions, you will face at least 6 to 7 questions from this list. While discussing the answer, I will explain you why this should be answer for that particular question. So, watch the video till the end. With this note, let's move to our very first question. What is SQL? SQL is a programming language used to perform data related tasks. SQL allows user to perform various commands like DDL, DML, DCL, TCL. One thing to keep in mind, you should always answer like interviewer may ask his next question from your answer. So instead of saying SQL used to perform insert, update, delete operations on the database, you should say SQL allow user to perform various commands like DDL, DML, DCL, TCL. It will be more prominent answer. And then interviewer may ask his next question from your answer. That will be what are command in a SQL. So very first command is a DDL. DDL change the structure of the table like creating a table, deleting table, altering table, etc. All command of the DDL are auto committed. That means it permanently save all changes in the database. Create, alter, drop, truncate. This command comes under the DDL family. Next will be a DML, data manipulation language. DML commands are used to modify the database. It is responsible for all form of the changes in the database. The command of the DML is not auto committed. That means it can't permanently save all the changes in the database. They can be rolled back. So insert, update, delete, select these commands comes under the DDL. To be continue, next will be DCL. DCL is a data control language. DCL commands used for to grant or take back authority from the database user. In this grant and revoke, these commands are come under the DCL. TCL will be transaction control language. TCL command help the user to manage the transaction that takes place in the database. Commit, rollback, save point. This command comes under the TCL. Let's move to our next question, and that will be what are SQL constraints? Constraints are the rule that we can apply on the type of data in a table. That is, we can specify the limit on the type of data that can be stored in a particular column in a table using constraint. We have unique constraint, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, check constraint, default constraint. Then interviewer may ask to explain each constraint or may ask advantage of the constraint. One important thing is don't go for explaining all constraint without asking by the interviewer. Keep in mind interviewer's time is very precious. So your answer should be short and to the point. If interviewer asks you why we use constraint or the advantage of the constraint, then you can say the advantage of constraint are like it prevent bad data from being entered into the table. It enforces the business logic at database level. It enforces relational integrity between any number of tables. It helps improves database performance and it also helps to enforce the uniqueness. Let's move to the next question. What is primary key? Primary key is a field which is uniquely identifies each row in a table. If field in a table as a primary key, then field will not be able to contain null value as well as all the rows should have unique values for this field. So in other words, we can say that this is the combination of not null and unique constraint. Table can have only one field as a primary key. It can be a combination of multiple columns. The syntax is here create table student and we can mention the column name. At the end, we can mention the primary key and for that particular column. So next question will be our fifth question is what is unique constraint? The unique constraint ensure that all value in a column are different. Primary key constraint automatically has unique constraint. When you mention like this, the interviewer may ask different tell me a difference between the primary key constraint and unique constraint. Then you can say we can have many unique constraints per table, but only one primary key constraint per table. Another difference may be unique constraint can have one null value, but primary key constraint cannot have null value. So our next question is what are type of join and explain it. Here again, if interviewer may ask only what are type, then just mention the types. Don't go for explaining unless and until asked by the interviewer. Then you can say where there are various type of join which can be used to retrieve the data in a depends on its relationship between the table. So we have inner join. Inner join returns rows when there is at least one match of rows between the table. Another is a right outer join. Right outer join returns rows which are common between the tables and all rows of right hand side table. Simply, it returns all rows from the right hand side table even though there are no matches in the left hand side table. Okay, and, uh, and same for the left outer join. Left outer join returns rows which are common between the tables and all rows of the left hand side table. Simply, it returns all rows from the left hand side table even though there is no matches in a right hand side table. Move to the next, full outer join. Full outer join returns all rows when there are matching rows in any of the table. This means it returns all rows from the left hand side table also and all rows from the right hand side table also. Okay, for this, let's move to the next question. That is what is store procedure? Store procedure is a set of prepared SQL queries that we can save. So it can be reused over and over again. If we have a set of SQL statement that we are writing over and over again, then we can save it as a store procedure and just call it to execute whenever needed. So we can also pass the parameter to the store procedure so that the store procedure can act based on the parameters value that is passed. Here we have a syntax for the store procedure, that is create procedure, procedure name as SQL statement and end with a go. And for executing, we can use exec and procedure name. That's it. Let's move to the next question. Difference between the store procedure and the functions. This is a very common question. You can star mark this question. Okay. And one thing here I have listed all point of, for your understanding. But in an interview, you have to just explain four or five of them. So let's see the differences store procedure and functions. Here store procedure may or may not return value, but function must return value. Store procedure has input and output parameter, but function has only input parameter. Store procedure cannot call from the function, but yes, function can be called from the store procedure. Another is store procedure allow DML commands like insert, update, delete, select, but function allow only select command. And store procedure cannot be used inside the select command, but function can be used inside the select command. Yes. And the another important point is the store procedure are pre-compiled and can be reused. Hence, it is faster in a performance. Functions get compiled every time, hence slower than the SP in a performance. Here, interviewer can ask separately for this question, which is a faster and which is slower. In store procedure, exception can be handled by using try catch block, but in a function, it cannot be handled by using try catch. In store procedure used to perform repetitive tasks or operation. Function not used for repetitive tasks. Store procedure returns output parameter and function return table values. Store procedure used to perform set of SQL statement on the database, but in a function, only one statement can be performed in the function. The one of the point is keep in mind is the function has a read-only access to the SQL server, which is why we can't use DML command in the function. Okay, so let's see next question. It can be a What is user defined function? So user defined function are a routine that accept parameter, perform an action such as complex calculation, and return the result of that action as a value. The return value can either be single scalar value or a result set. It can be used in a script, store procedure, trigger, and other defined function also. Let's move to the next question, which is a very important for the freshers. 90% of interviewer ask this question, so you can mark double star for it. Now, what is the difference between the delete and truncate command? Here I have listed the differences. The truncate it is a data definition language command, and delete it is a data manipulation language command. So when we need to reset the table to its initial state, we use truncate, and to remove one or more rows from the table, we use delete. Truncate reset identity key to the of the table to its initial state. Delete command doesn't reset identity key. Also, truncate removes data without activating after delete trigger. But when we use delete command, it activates delete trigger. This change cannot be rolled back. Changes done by the truncate cannot be rolled back. Changes done by the truncate can be rolled back. We can't use where clause in a truncate, but we can use where clause in a delete. Because hence the truncate is a faster than delete, and delete is a slower than truncate. That was the differences. So that's it for the today's session. I had listed only questions and answers here, but any of you need more detailed understanding of any topic, or you have any doubt, you can mention it in a comment section. I'll definitely create session on that. If you like this video and my efforts, please do subscribe my channel and also click on the bell icon so you will not miss any of my videos. Thank you for listening.